jingle singers around here somewhere.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Well, they don't lie. This is indeed the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing. Glowing in the dark, blowing up? No, hopefully they're glowing in the dark. Welcome back to another Saturday night evening, Saturday night place to be here at the Old Tube Radio Network. 27085 is the frequency. Channel 11 is a designated channel from the FCC, and the item of interest is the Old Tube Radio Network doing our Saturday evening thing. My name is Dennis, one of the many net controls that sit in the air chair, reminding you that we are here to promote the use and distribute information about the Class D 11-meter citizen band radio service, Tube Radio's good old days. I don't know what you would call it, but anachronism perhaps. We are here. Glad you are here as well. If you have a tube radio to fire up and check out and drive around the block, warm it up. We'll be getting to that after the direct and net roll call here, at which time I'll pause and say, anybody, we have a few already, anybody need an early check-in before we get started? Over.
24 checking in.
All right, 24, we've got 650 also stopped by, 61 stopped in, 111 stopped by. There could be others. Who else needs an early check-in? Or an early chicken. Anyway, it was a very, very nice day today. It was almost semi-spring-like, so there might be a lot of people still out and about, out at the barbecue. I don't think it was a pool day at all, but we will see. Join us when you can. If you're watching or listening to the replay, hello to you, and hopefully you did something fantastic on your radio. So, speaking of early check-ins, 00 did just that from near Sangertown. Also an X in the square for SWL number 1. And if you can, click on the little video link if you are so inspired, and jump onto the video and say hello to Mr. OBP and let him know that he is indeed 9 pounds, good modulation at Chestnut in Herndon. And you are right. You're right, Kevin. I have brought to you tonight in living color. We have the color cameras out tonight. They splurged, rolled them up into the studio here. And I even was able to get into the proper attire tonight. It feels, things feel better, so we will do that. Anyway, I hope you are having a good weekend as well. The sunspot numbers are up a little bit. The skip land stayed in just before the net. So Australia, Hawaii, they may come back. Perhaps we're going to get some of the short E-skip. If so, keep your radios tuned to Channel 11. I've got a proxy check-in for Rob, SWL number 3. And probably live, I think Old Radio Night has signed off already. JT needs to get his rest and relaxation, so he will be ready to go for whatever the upcoming week has. So we'll check in on the replay there, but Levon was probably Mr. Rainmaker checking in from that. So Levon will get you checked in. I will also scroll through the list, see if there's anybody who was on there that I missed. Just down the street, hopefully where the static has ceased to exist, SWL 7.
Good evening to one and all from SWL number 7.
Sounding good as always. Thanks for joining us here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
And thanks for checking me in.
And I was just looking, let's see, 222, 2025 are the numbers on my list. If you're playing the home game, make sure you're putting the X's in that area. Let's go to, let's go out to Sangertown, see if we can make it through the noise here tonight and look up for the ever-popular 982 Dirt Dog. All right, 982 Dirt Dog out in Sanger. If you can hear me, you are sounding good tonight. Thanks for jumping up into the air chair and saying hello, radio, to the old Tube Radio Network. You are checked in. Over.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thank you. Also, want to take time out. I just noticed on my list here, Reverend Dr. Jarek Gary, hello to you. He's listening for DX on, and if there is tonight, he's in one of our DX zones. Good to have you. Now, here's a guy who was jumping in and talking before we started doing the old Tube Radio Network long ago. So, Gary, good to have you joining us here back in the Central Valley tonight. Hope all is going well, and keep listening in. You never know what might happen. Let's go over to, let's see, SW9 checked in. I put it under SWL8, but look, we should get a 9. There it is, 9 checking in. SWL10, Chrissy, or 30. I will make sure or keep an eye out to see if they are in. The duo of 11 and 12, of course, Cornbread. Yes, someone did say Cornbread, and, of course, Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan, you have competition. Last week you had no competition. This week I am ready for you, but you will probably squeak out just ahead. So 11 and 12 checked in. Thanks for joining us here on the old Tube Radio Network. I am ready for you, but you will probably... Over to SWL13. I will check in for Mikey. He often shows up at oldtuberadio.net. Over to SWL13. Yeah, or somewhere, so I will keep an eye out for 13. Let's go back out to Sangertown, where the conditions are always good. Hello, Sean, over.
Hey, hello, Dennis. Hopefully you're hearing me okay. I have excellent conditions tonight and a wonderful copy on you.
All right, that's good. I was testing earlier, and it just seemed like the signal and everything wasn't quite up to, what do they say on the radio, up to snuff. So I'm glad that you have a decent enough receiver to hear me. We will have plenty of space on the Tube Radio list later in a few moments. So if you have items of interest, I know you do, we'll get them checked in at that time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and I got them warming up.
All right, good deal. I want to say hello, thank you, Sean, to Josh P. Superstar Mall out there in Maui, Hawaii. You just missed the DX. We were hearing Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii, like we always do, just as our gray line passes and the sun goes down. So keep it tuned to Channel 11. When your gray line comes in over there, you might be able to sneak back in and say hello, radio live and direct here on the old Tube Radio Network. Let's head over to way out there. Where's tomorrow? I was going to say where's yesterday. It's yesterday right here. But we're going to head out to where it's tomorrow for SWL 15 Alpha 173 Copenhagen, Denmark. I don't know what the weather is like out there, but it's always good. It's always nice in the Radio Shack. Denmark, I don't know what the weather is like out there, but it's always good. It's always nice. Right on the frequency. Oscar Zulu 1 Hotel Golf Hotel. Is that true? Is that, would I be able to contact you that way? Maybe. That would be interesting if that is the case. So you would be certainly a DX station. You would have a pileup here on the West Coast. Because the guys on the East Coast can always make it over that ocean. From here on the West Coast, we can make it over the Pacific, but we can't make it over the Atlantic all that well. So let me put the X in the square, Hans, and there it is. You are checked in. Of course, here in the studio tonight, behind all the stuff, but making sure that, yeah, I know, looks good. I don't look drab like I did last week. SWL 16, Charlie from beautiful Anoka, Minnesota. Also, who else is joining us? Up on the balcony in Middleton, Ohio. I see Clovis, Edmonton, Washington, Kerman, California, Plymouth, Minnesota, Tracy, California. Beautiful, beautiful Tracy out there. Centerville, Virginia, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I was listening to Oklahoma last night, way last night on on 40 meters was coming in pretty good. Hello to Sacramento, Edmonton, Alberta. You guys were rocking. Canada, British Columbia. Last night there were some really good NVIS conditions. Hendersonville, Tennessee will be coming up to you guys. I saw your early check-in not too long ago, and also Derby, New York coming up to you as well. So I just want to say hello, radio, to our digital listeners. Channel 11 is where we're at if you are live and direct. Next, we've got SWL 17. SWL 18 from the Facebook page with a check-in. SWL 19, of course, Chet has the cue cards. Looking good tonight. What's going on in the green room? I don't know. It didn't seem like there was a lot of activity anywhere today. So must be something going on. Doesn't look like there's as many people milling about, but I mean that could be. I heard Joe lamenting that there was no football. So what do people do on a Saturday evening? They tune in the old Tube Radio Network. Let's go to SWL 20.
Well, I am here. I didn't go to work. Today is my first day that they were going to let me drive, but I decided to give it another day. Please check me in, 29 and 54. And this radio will be a radio of interest, especially for somebody local in town that's been waiting for this for a while, if he's around. Okay, I'll turn it back to you, Dennis.
10-4.
Okay, and let's see. If that's it, it's almost on frequency. It's trying to find the frequency. One of our technical monitors jumped in and said, "It looks like 20 is moving around on frequency a little bit, but that's okay." On AM, we are given 700 cycles by the FCC in which to drive our radio. It sounds good. Whatever it is, it sounds good. And I'm kind of glad you didn't have to go in today. I was thinking, they should give you like months and weeks and years. Harvey, it is time to retire. And Harvey's saying, yeah, I know. Anyway, hope you're feeling better. I'm doing well and glad to have you in the air chair. I already had a pre-proxy for you, but I've crossed that out and put in the X. You're sounding good over.
Well, I'm a little high, and then it slides down. Oh, well, I think I still have to do the tubes in the transmitter. I definitely have to do the electrolytics. I did one, but then I had surgery, so, there you go. But the arm's well enough that I can do some light stuff with it. I got the liquid, well, I didn't have stitches taken out because they didn't give me stitches. They had that liquid suture type stuff in there. But I have the big giant bandage off so I can move my arm around now. And tomorrow's today's the first day I could drive, but I thought I'll give it another day. And then I can solder, so do a couple of caps. Let's see, 085-2.
Aaron, I can tell, I can hear it when the guy keys up.
But tubes and caps, but this radio is about ready to go.
It is. It sounds good. The audio is good. It's agile. I think that's what we say. It's an agile radio. You can kind of hear it doing its little Harvey on frequency dance. So we'll talk a little bit more about it coming up when we start glowing in the dark. You are sounding good. Don't stray too far from the air chair, and we'll be back with you. The old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. Direct and net roll call. The radios, those tube radios we were talking about, will be coming up in moments. I'm going to take a quick jump over to if it's there, if the replay is there. It used to be there. Old Radio Night. I think They were doing the wheel here tonight. Let me see if we've got some, should have some audio from them tonight.
Uh-oh.
They're having a party.
Pile driver, you won.
There it is. They do the wheel, and I think what happens is...
Pile driver, you won, man. Send me an email.
If
I'll put my email down
the
there.
dial lands on you, you are eliminated until the last one standing. It's sort of a last man standing on the wheel. I think JT said tonight
Gotcha.
that his radio was the same as last week. There it is. Picture of it like there, listening on channel 17. And Mr. 21, I hope you're taking a rest. You said you need to go horizontal and try and recuperate from the creeping crud or whatever it is that's got you. So you're looking good, but you were a trooper tonight and did the 2-3 hour program, and it's looking good. You can find it at Old Radio Night for this date. Back in the control room, let's go to SWL22. That would be Tyler, and I know we were hearing, well, I wasn't hearing Australia. I even did a little SDR check before I came on. There's a couple of Northwest Passage in Australia, and I couldn't pick up a thing from any of them. Let's go to SWL23. Mr. 23 Skidoo. The EchoLink link is up. I see Tony and Kurt from Kokomo, so we'll pick up the EchoLinks in just a little bit. Let me, SWL24 got checked in early. Thank you, Joe. How about shortwave listener 25?
I'm back.
Okay, I got Jerry checked in as well. We had our live broadcast last night at the radio station, so I missed out on the ditch banks, I think, and I did check in Wednesday. I heard Jerry coming in on that 10 meter, and that sounds good. Let's jump over to SWL 147, where I define the page. Neil is in the house. Weather is cold, you would think. Snow on Wednesday. I was talking to some relatives that are in central Kansas, and they said it was wind chill of minus something, like something just above zero or below zero, but it was extremely cold. So that is what's happening in that part of the world. Snow on Wednesday, warmer next week. The conditions are very quiet. Occasional contact on the West Coast and Mexico. 73 from Dr. Jazz. Thanks for joining us. 147. The Old Tube Radio Network Directed Net Roll Call. And that's page 2. And no wonder I can find myself. I need to be over on page 2. SWL 27. I'll get Dwayne checked in. He did the Wednesday night net, and he's not that far away. He always sounds pretty good. So let's get Dwayne checked in. Heading up the road, up Highway 99. See what's happened with Gary tonight and the crew out there. What is the snack of choice tonight? That's what I want to know. PSV Odyssey, hello radio. Semi-Crazy in South Arkansas, waving a hand. Thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. And Gary says, after ribs, potato salad, pork, and beans, he's too full for dessert. Maybe peach pie and vanilla ice cream later. Maybe like a lot later, like tomorrow night. That sounds good. All of it sounds good. You overdid it. I always pictured you, Gary, as a guy who has dessert first. And so you wouldn't have room for dinner, but you went the wrong way this time. That's okay, because there's going to be plenty of pie left over. I got a proxy check-in for SWL 29, SWL 30. Did 30 jump in? Yes, 30 is there. Proxy in 22. Oh, good. I said he talked to him earlier in the evening, and 10 and 30 are present, which I will do. I heard him a couple of days ago when just listening in on Skip, but I didn't hear him in tonight, and I thought I might because we had quite a bit of activity going on. So, Dwayne, thanks for all those check-ins. Speaking of check-ins, I will get an X in the square for Robert and Teresa out there in Hendersonville, Tennessee, where it's probably, I don't know if it's snowing, but it's cold as well. So you guys check in a bit earlier. So the X is in the square. SWL 32. SWL 33. That would be myself and Bozo Control, who is still semi-hiding. I don't know why, but I'm I'm not going to question it. SWL 34, Jimmy Fiedler, Railroader, Captain Chaos, and Jimmy doing a good job on all the various Facebook pages that deal with many types of radios and railroads. All those are things. Thank you, Jimmy. Looking good, and also giving us some promotional shout-outs. Let people know that they can hear some great tube radios by joining us on the live stream or joining us direct and plugging their radio in. SWL 35, I'm seeing if we don't have a note from Mr. Bill, Red Monkey Communications. See if he's on there, where it's probably cold out there in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Mr. Bill, you are checked in. And there is SWL 13. Thank you, Michael Cobra. Got you checked in. The Break OTR. Go ahead, over.
We're going to get an early check-in for 55.
Yeah, we're heading that way, so why not? 55 on this page right here with an X in the square. Stay safe. Have a good weekend. Over.
Thank you. You too. Many of the
and Joshua is checking in from Hawaii about 40 minutes ago. Joshua P., thanks for joining us. Direct and net roll call, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark coming up, the Old Tube Radio Network on this channel on Saturday evenings since the mid-1980s. Who would have thunk you could do something for so long and have so much fun doing it? Let's go to SWL 36.
at the truck stop.
Shortwave listener 37.
Hey, go pick up a better CB radio like a LTD Cobra.
Okay, so we are going to give a proxy for Mr. Chris. How about SWL 38? Sam, I thought I saw you jumping in there earlier. The skip was in, but is not in now, so we'll get you checked in. It's going to take more stacked beams than I have to point up to Byron and get a signal out that way. SWL 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40 here. For anyone that filed their taxes just very recently, you might have to wait a bit. They let go of a bunch of IRS workers at the main office. So it might take a long to get your IRS checks this year. Other than that, have a nice day. K6 Field. This is SWL number 40.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's one of those numbers in front of you on the card. Well, I guess Fresno has the national or one of the national places. It's very, very, very big security. I've never worked there, but I've been in there many, many times doing videos. And your camera even has to have a security tag. So, well, I don't know. Maybe if they can just eliminate the whole thing and be done with it. All right, Larry, you are sounding good. Thanks for checking in, and hopefully that the static you had is going away. Let's go to SWL 41 out in New York, Road Dog 507. And, of course, the gang out there doing the react thing. Hello to United Delta X-Ray 357, the Cowboy, where it was 72. I think we got up to 72 or at least 73, so we might have tied you guys. SWL 42. Get a proxy for 42 in the gang, I will do that. SWL 43 also has a proxy. I did not hear Ray on Wednesday. I don't know if he was on Friday because I wasn't here. SWL 44 on the AM side. Caller Radio. Hello, Radio. Thanks for joining us. New fire chief. If there's a new fire chief, that's in L.A., I think. I think L.A. got the new fire chief. Ray, if you're listening, I'll get you checked in. SWL 45. Paul and Kelly up in North Fork. Hope you're listening. Hope you're able to watch in the video. We missed you guys. Hope you can get it, get things working out there and are feeling good. And we always enjoy the fact that you're listening and your many years of service, as it were, to the old Tube Radio Network. Let's go to SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47. Trying to remember if I had an email from 47 to get checked in. It was a good day. I bet he's out on the bike, probably having a good time. So he will be in a little bit later. I will get him checked in until otherwise noted. SWL 48. Got Sammy checked in from the other night. Smitty and Sweet Country Mama, SWL 49. And Foxman 362, I agree. The skip is like a boat. 1 minute you're 20 over somewhere that's not line of sight. Then it fades away. Then it comes back, and then you're 100 miles off to the left. And on it goes until the sun goes down, and then you have totally different things happening. SWL 51/00. Dave checked in a little bit earlier and sounding good doing it. And Aaron is in the tech chair, but he's probably going to move to a various microphone or a mouse to say hello, Radio. SWL 52.
Yeah, good evening, Dennis, and all the SWLs. SWL 52, behind the golden microphone.
Sounding good. And I liked your assessment, and I didn't realize until we had some conflicting zero beat going on. And it's like, boy, you're right. That radio was kind of walking all over the place. It sounded good. It sounded like a tube radio.
Yeah, it starts high and then moves low, and then it just started dancing around and then moving up and down. And yeah, it was, that thing was all over the place. But hey, you could still hear them. So thanks, Dennis.
All right, the oscillator was indeed oscillating. Thanks for checking in. 52. SWL 53, Mr. Bel Air. Now, I see an X in the square, so we already got Bob checked in over to page 4, where I do have a check-in for 54 and for 55 and perhaps for SWL 56. Hello, Radio.
Well, good evening, Dennis and the Net 56, just for kicks.
And I always thought kicks are for trids. Or no, tricks are for kids. And kicks are for us here on the old Tube Radio Network. Sounding good as always, Phil. And we've got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
One of the many nets that Phil's got on his little calendar to what frequency and where am I supposed to be tonight? He does better than I do. I always forget. I remember the day after. It's like, oh yeah, I was supposed to be on that place at that time to get checked in. Let's go to SWL 57, Central Kentucky. Report from Scottsdale, UDX 3030, saying conditions were great today, mostly. No, 10 was open, 11 was open. I mean, you could actually go to 10 meters and have a conversation with one person, unlike the 11-meter band, where you may be talking to 50 people, but none of them seem to respond. Let's go to SWL 58. Shortwave listener 59, where is Uncle Hairball? Was he on Old Radio Night tonight? We are wondering. SWL 60, hello, Joe.
Hey, Dennis. Well, we're on the right mic and the right radio and all that good stuff. I got a mess going on down here. I just got pulling cables, and I don't know who goes where and what, but I hope I'm on the right radio. Evening time, if I am, to all the fellas on the band, SWL 40 checking in. Get 6502.
Yeah, 650 we got. Thank you for that. You sound good. I was looking at your S-meter reading. It's good. I've got an attenuator on and a preamp on. I'm kind of dancing between the two to see if I could get rid of some of the noise tonight. And you are well above the noise at S9. So whatever you got hooked up is playing well tonight. Not a problem.
Appreciate it, Dennis. All stock. The old road talker and the stock mics here's for the old road talker. All stock tonight.
All right, sounds good. Bozo Control used to have a Sears Bose talker. You don't want to know about that. Yours is doing much better. Got you checked in. SWL 61, Dino checked in early. SWL 62. Shortwave listener 63. SWL 64, Craig checked in early. Saw him on the screen from all the way from Wisconsin. Who's joining us? Clovis, Fresno, some people listening in, tuning in locally. Sometimes that's a good way to do it. If you can't be by the radio, you can kind of carry it around, I suppose. Let's go to shortwave listener 65. SWL 66. About 40 minutes ago from Canby, Oregon, SWL 67. Bill checking in. Thanks, Bill, for joining us. I don't know if you guys are high enough or low enough or far north enough to get snow or whatever happens, but hope you're having a good weekend. SWL 68. Michael, I saw you earlier. Got you checked in. I didn't see Kenny earlier. I'll have to see if I missed Kenny, but I'm going to put an X in the square for our favorite family out there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We miss you out here on the West Coast, but we know you're having a good time where you're at, and we thank you for joining us. Up the hill we go to SWL 70.
Hello, Dennis. 70 checking in from Prather. You're sounding good, but I can barely hear you because I got too much noise. And, hey, thanks very much for doing the net, man.
Okay, and likewise yourself when you beacon in on Wednesday evenings. Always sounds good. You've got a good location up there, so hopefully in the not too distant future you will get some of those, like I have, some of those outdoor hardware projects going.
Oh, yeah. They're... I'll know more after the spring here what's going on, but yeah, we got some equipment to install, yeah. Anyhow, thanks, man.
All right, sounding good. SWL 70. Mark, you can hear him sometimes. Most times there's a Wednesday night net for those of you who can SWL or maybe jump in here locally upon 10 meters at 28,445, and it's at 8 p.m. Pacific time on a Wednesday evening, and they do take visitor check-ins after the roll call, and if the band is open, they'll get you checked in. Mark has got a good... He's one of the net controllers. He's got a good receiver. Thank you, Mark. Over to SWL 71. I thought I saw Stan on my radar here from Dallas, Georgia. Not sure what is happening out that way. He's always, weekends, he gets busy with getting people licensed up for the amateur radio band. I can't remember how many he said he's done. It's in the hundreds, maybe the thousands. I don't know. But Stan, if you're out there, we've got you checked in. Over to SWL 72. Shortwave listener 73. I heard John on one of the frequencies, and I missed Fridays are just a bad time for me to do anything early now, and I missed the it was the Valentine's Day was at Fresno Amateur Radio Club, so I'm sure he was there. So I've got John checked in, SWL 74, proxy check in for Miss Jilly. And I did see this station beaconing in on the digital side, 356 BYU, SWL 75. And we've got you checked in as well. Thanks for joining us here on a Saturday evening where it is 8:40 or close to 8:40 in the PM here on the West Coast. SWL 76, Johnson, Rhode Island, and I thought I saw Red Fox 1 right there. Oh, great. He's working on a Polytronics Polycom Senior 23. That's one of the radios that when people start comparing, saying, you know, Brownings are great and Trams are great and Demcos are great, but when you look at those other radios that are sleepers, if you will, ones that come up are the Regency Imperial, a lot of the sonars, because they've got that 6BQ5 push-pull thing going on, and the one you've got right there, Red Fox, the Polytronics Polycom Senior 23. Great radio, so hope you can get it up and running, and we've got you checked in. Let's go to SWL 77. Got a proxy for Dennis. Wild Wildemar. I was listening into 7235. Sometimes I can hear Richard in there chatting with Brian on the net, but I did not hear him this week. But I will get him checked in. This station was on earlier. Is he by the radio? AM, FM, or otherwise? SWL 79. Nothing heard. Must be dinner time. I will get Mr. DC checked in. Double checking the items here. Hello to the unknown SWL. Even though you have a paper bag over your head and a little rubber ducky antenna sticking out of the top, we know you're up there. I just wanted to acknowledge you. Let's go to SWL 80. Shortwave listener 81. From way out yonder in the ditch banks, SWL 82.
Hey, good evening. 82 checking in from the ditch banks of Biola. Good evening.
Good evening. Sounding always loud. Your station can never sound bad. We had our live music remote venue thing going on last night, so I didn't get in until 10:30 or 11. So how did the Friday night net go? As you heard, we had the skip beaconing right up until before the net. I'm assuming you probably had some Australia check-ins last night.
You know, for some reason, I could hear them out there, but I just could not make out their numbers or anything. So, pull up Oakhurst Course Cold could hear them, but they just were not strong enough for me last night. So, we just had a local net.
Okay, well, if not strong enough for you to hear them, they probably cannot be heard anywhere. So great stuff. The net he's talking about happens on Friday evenings right here in the Central Valley at 8 p.m. Pacific time on one of your favorite frequencies, 27,365. That's 36 lower. That's right. Look for the LSB knob on your radio. Of course, we're upper and lower sideband, but it's sort of required that you cut the carrier out. You can be double sideband, but if you can cut out the carrier, it works a lot better. And there is a spot to get checked in if you're not on the roll call list, and if you're in Skipland. Ron is very gracious about taking time out to make sure everybody gets checked in. So anyway, thanks for doing that, and thanks for checking in.
All right, Dennis, thank you for doing your show, and have a good evening.
All right, well, not much of a show right now, but there will be in the moments when the radios start coming by, which is the whole reason way long ago that a lot of us sat down in the air chair here to make sure that we could get our radios on the air. And that's what we will do tonight. Thanks, Ron. Over to SWL 83JZ in Sylvania or near Sylvania, Ohio. And he is, same on the chart earlier. So we get you checked in 83. Also the Beagle Man, Jeffrey, checking in with us tonight. The old Tube Radio Network. Glad to see you around. Let's go over to SWL. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. SWL 84, 86, 87, and 88. I have not been tuning into 7204 like I normally have, so I haven't heard. That doesn't mean he wasn't out there, but I haven't heard Jerry on his Swan, nice Tube Swan radio. But I will get the whole gang checked in. Cheerios Kid, Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl. After that, let's go to SWL 89. SWL 90. And then it's way out to New York for SWL 91. Hello, Felix. And everybody's checked in. You know, Moocher, I see the cat on there next to the bozo. Where is Mooch? Oh, you know what? I've got the... oh, poor Mooch. Poor cat. It looks like I've got the door closed far enough where Mooch Cat probably said, you know what? I'll just stay in the warm chair rather than the warm radio room, but we'll see. There could be an escape. There could be an escapee coming up here. And Felix, you're looking good. We've got you checked in. SWL 92, Mr. Roman. Did I see Mr. Roman on earlier? I don't think so. Popcorn 913. They had their little, and it hasn't been on for a while in the green room. One of those poppers with the little metal pan and you put the kernels and they pop out the top and down into the little container. I don't know what it is. The cabinet. It's a little popcorn cabinet, and you open the doors and shovel in the popcorn. That is going on in the green room tonight. So hopefully you've provided them. Popcorn 913 has provided the green room with some of his special mix that puts Orville and his gang to shame. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Let's go over to SWL 95. Warthog 95. Let's go to, I think I saw Jim jumping in. It's been a while. SWL 97. All right, checking in. Out there in the Boston Harbor, counting the bricks. Counting the bricks in all the buildings and in the street. And which ones are from 1800 and which one are from 1700? Thank you, Jim, for checking in. SWL 98, Tracy. Checking Tracy, huh? A lot of posts this week and good pictures on Facebook from Tracy. Simon, greetings from Oregon. Yeah, I don't know. We would have to have that nice little tropo-ducting skipland for our signals to be beaconing up into Oregon, but we're here at channel 11, 27085, if you want to give a listen. But as you can hear, the band is pretty quiet. Let's go to SWL 99, Randy. Sometimes Randy forgets, and he'll just remember just in the nick of time, as I'm about ready to call him, so I will hang out. He's probably on 75 meters, and at some point, his little Alexa reminder will come on saying, check into the Old Tube Radio Network. And he will head on over here to 11 meters. State of Virginia is checking in. Thank you, Justin, for that. And also Jukebox 502 out there in Nine Land. Hello to you. Let's try. I've got the EchoLink link up for it to be working. Let me see if the EchoLink link is working. Hold on a second. I got to find. Yeah, I got to find the right. Why is this so hard? All right. Test radio. Test radio. No, it's still off. And sometimes you just can't find the right button on the on the audio.
Hey,
board.
Dennis. Good evening. Please check in SWL 100. You sounding good. Back to net control, KD4BAO.
All right, Tony. All right, Tony, I finally got it together. You got to press the space bar and hit a button to get the EchoLink link working here. You sound good. Always good audio with that. So I know you are getting ready to activate TOTA, Tubes on the Air, to coincide with the old Tube Radio Network. And thanks for doing that. Thanks for checking in.
Breaker.
The breaker, go ahead, over.
Running good there, Dennis. Early or late, so I just got back from a party. 10-4.
All right. Well, I hope it was in your honor, and if it wasn't, it should have been. Someone proxied you in. I am going to amend that to put a big X in the square for the legend. Hello, Bob.
Appreciate that, 10-4. Yeah, finally somebody remember me. I appreciate that there, Dennis. You have a good weekend. Take care, my brother. 73.
All right, 73 to you. Thanks for checking in on the old Tube Radio Network. SWL 53, anybody playing the home game. That's right at the bottom of page 2. We got a couple more EchoLink links. Got a couple more EchoLink links to check in. So let's check in with Kurt up in Kokomo. See if your two-way is working here. See if we can get Kurt in from Kokomo. SWL 96.
Kilo Bravo 6, Golf Foxtrot Delta. Good evening. SWL 96 checking in this evening and waving a hand from Kokomo, Indiana. We will turn it back over to net control, and we will be QRT and QSY to the YouTube chat. KB6 GFD, this is W9KEC, 777 Stoplight City, USA, and we'll be clear in QRT. 73.
Thank you, Kurt. Great audio. If you watch the replay, pull it back. Look at your I look at your audio upon the Orban meter up there at -14, nice and clear. I wish I could get mine like that. I don't have a direct feed into the item. It looks good. Nice up in Kokomo. Maybe we'll hear you guys out there. Band conditions have been good and things are open. Thanks for joining us on the old Tube Radio Network. Yeah, let me try Randy while I've got the transmitter going. KC9 NSD.
Well, hello,
Randy.
Dennis, and KB6GFD. This is KC9NSD, and it's good to be on the show tonight and to see everyone having fun. And thank you, Dennis, for all the hard work that you put in every weekend. You bring sunshine to all of our worlds, and I appreciate you very much. This is KC9NSD. Back to you, Dennis, in the radio room.
Thanks. In the radio room, trying to make the EchoLink link up words. Thanks for the good words. Of course, the reason we are here is to give our tube radio operators a chance to get on the air, a reason to get on the air and get the radios fired up and maybe answer some questions. And now that we're sort of beaconing worldwide on the Universal Media Netweb, a chance to share the radios and let people think, hey, we could do something like this, or I remember that radio. So cool stuff. Thanks for joining us on the EchoLink link. Looks fun, and hopefully maybe I can catch you out there in Nyan Land and some of the other bands coming up. 73 to you from... and the old Tube Radio Network. Back to our roll call. Looking for SWL 102. That would be John, of course, out in Arkansas. Who who is right there checking in. Thanks for joining us on the old Tube Radio Network. X is in the square, so it says. Shortwave listener 103, Joey. I think I saw Joey jumping in on, that's a week ago. Well, that's the check-in for last week, but what about this week? I'll keep an eye out for Joey. There's Warthog95 showing up on screen. Got you. Whiskey Romeo 4, Bravo. Let me go back and put the 95 in the box. Thanks for saying hello, radio. Also, let's go up to around the corner here, SWL 109, Mr. Crawdad. Over.
Good evening, Dennis. Crawdad 109 checking in.
Good to hear you tonight. I was out of the air chair last night, so I missed what was going on there, but sounding good on a Saturday evening. Thanks for jumping into the radio room and saying hello, radio. We've got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis. You're sounding great tonight.
Okay, despite my best efforts not to. I managed to hit the right buttons. Thank you. Well, let's go to SWL 110. Shortwave listener 111. Robert checked in over the air earlier. I actually heard him when I was in the kitchen monitoring from Reevelytown, putting in a really good signal, as always. SWL 113. SWL 114.
114 checking in.
114. Hello, Wayne. Always sounding good. And another X in the square. Thanks.
Hello, Dennis. Right back. Checking.
The old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for joining us. SWL over on page 2. SWL 41. Road Dog 501. I see you. There should be an X in the square popping in over my head at the moment. Oh, you know what? I bet I forgot to change. I'll do that. No, it's just February 20th scheduled. I wonder if I forgot to change the link up on the. And I'm going to do something here. Or maybe I forgot to put in the new link. Otherwise, sometimes I do that. There's so many things you have to do before things start up here. That you get the right dates and the right times. And see, that's not coming up, so there may be an issue with the YouTube stuff. Anyway, thanks for the heads up on that. Of course, the Orange County React, Hudson Valley, New York. Good evening, 41. You are live and direct and checked in. Now, it looks like there's a link missing or something. I will get that reinstalled here at the break. Who was the last person we called? Oh, Wayne. So let's go over to SWL 128. That would be John, who checked in about an hour ago. If you're still up and running, John, thanks for joining us. Thanks for shortwave listening. Yellow Springs, Ohio is checking in. Frank D, number 1. Thanks for joining us. The old Tube Radio Network. SWL 131. Shortwave listener 133. Wait, I don't know why that link's not coming up. SWL 135.
Hello there. SWL 135 checking in.
135.
SWL 135 checking in.
You can hear yourself checking in, and then you're going to hear me until I figure out where that 135.
SW.
Or things start up here. Okay, there it is. All right. So the replay is correct. It just finally loaded. So now I know how to do a replay. Just go to the other screen here. Anyway, you're sounding good. Over, as you heard.
Yeah, that sounded pretty good. I thought maybe I got caught in a time warp there for a second.
Let's do the time warp again and throw a couple of 6AQ5s at the audience. No, it was good. I tried to load something and I forgot that it didn't load, and all of a sudden it loaded at the appropriate moment. So you are checked in. Go back to my check-in page. Oh no, your number's already up there. It says you are checking in. So if I click the box, It should say you are checked in, and there it is. Thanks. Let's go over to SWL 137. Shortwave listener 145, Tony. I give Tony a check, and he was in... Where was he? I heard him. I think he left some questions, which we will get to right at the end of the roll call here. So Tony's checked in. SWL 147, Kakalaki, Cold Kakalaki is checked in. Let's go to Snow Beast, SWL 188. Up to Course Gold, SWL 195.
195, checking in, Dennis. Thank you.
All right, 195. Sounded good. Good signal tonight. The band is quiet. And let's see, I did not fix my antenna, so it's all on your end. Sounding good. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis. It's all downhill from here.
It is indeed all downhill. It's one of those bike rides that going home is fun. Let's go up to SWL 26. And, you know, Jeff said hello radio last week, checking in on, I think it was Facebook, yeah. So I'll get him checked in as well. So, Jeff, if you're Mr. Shockwave, if you're listening, thanks. Anybody else I missed or wants to jump in the old Tube Radio Network? Oh, before I go, let me extend my screen here and see if I can't pull out. We should have a couple of questions from Tony's net. Were I good net control, I would have these all kind of pre-positioned. All right, here they are. And, of course, I'm reading them cold, as we say in the business, so hopefully I'll do a good job. And question number 1, what is the maximum permissible... All right, well, this is a CW question, but for you aspiring ham radio ops, or if you just like pounding a brass key, maybe you'll know this. What is the maximum permissible CW speed permitted for identifying an amateur radio repeater? I think I know this one. So how fast can you go? 5 words a minute? 13 words per minute? 15 words per minute? 20 words per minute? Okay, we got ABC, 13, 15, 20, or 25 words per minute. And this is the maximum permissible. Anybody know that? Well, I know what it is because when I was studying CW, somebody used to tell me, if you can copy this particular CW ID on the repeater, you're copying... Thank you, Boston. Yes, you are copying 20 words per minute. Some of them go slower. But I think they go 20 because a lot of people don't like to be interrupted by the do-do-do-do ID. But were you to copy one, you might say, hey, you memorize it. That's what I did. I just copied 20 words per minute. All right, thank you, and thank you, Boston. You got it right. Let's go to number 2. At one time, the FCC required HAAT calculations. HAAT is height above average terrain. When you do some type of antenna issue, they usually want to know what is your height above average terrain. So it's a calculation. So at one time, the FCC required HAAT calculations for repeater antennas. I think I answered the question. What does HAAT stand for? Well, I just told everybody because I didn't read the thing because I already knew. Bonus, where else in ham radio would you find HAAT regulations? I don't know. Probably for a repeater, perhaps? Answer. Okay, height above average terrain, because the net control blew it. Regulations are also used on the 220 megahertz band due to its unique propagation characteristics, which can lead to interference issues if antennas are placed too high, as this is why the FCC closely monitors antenna height on this band. And they do that because you have protected areas, especially with broadcast stations. So they have to know your height above the average terrain and your pattern. And then they make them, what do they call it? ADI, an area of dominant influence. And they write a chart and they here's your something dB out to a certain area and your minus dB. And there's a station over here. And so even though you could be heard in that area, your height above average terrain and your signal loss makes it so you don't interfere. It's very complicated. It's so much fun to just get on the air on a Saturday evening on your tube radio and not care about your height above average terrain or how many words per minute the repeater is. All right, I will be back in a moment. We will be checking in your tube radios 2 for 2. Thank you, Boston, and join us, won't you? The old Tube Radio Network, back in a bit. Okay, what was I going to do during the break? I don't know. I was supposed to do something. I don't remember that. I was going to run out and do something. I don't know what it was. It must not have been very important now, was it? All right, as they say, here goes nothing.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Brought to you by RADIO, specifically your RADIO, your tube radios, right here in the Central Valley of California. That's where we are at tonight. Not sure if the skip will run out, but if you've got a tube radio somewhere, get it possibly ready. We'll get it to make sure you can get checked in. Thanks for those of you who have joined us here at the Old Tube Radio tonight. Might be watching a replay, or you might be ready to check in. I've got the tube radio list at hand, and we're standing by listening.
135, 135.
14, 14.
Two great signals. The band is great. I've got 14. Sean, you will be our second radio. Do something, but keep an eye on that little red light that will blink when it is your turn here in a few moments. We'll get you, I've got you reserved in number 2, and on the up-and-coming spot here, what time is it? I've got 9:09 Pacific Standard Time. Daylight time is coming up, isn't it? Pacific Standard Time, operator Cliff, a.k.a. Green Arrow, with an item of interest. Hello, Cliff, over.
Hello. Wow, I am, sorry, I got to check all my wiggle meters. Wiggle meters are wiggling. All the wiggle meters are wiggling. And I am just about bang on frequency according to this particular frequency counter of mine. So that's a good deal. Okay, so this is SWL 135, checking in a radio from beautiful downtown Burbank, California.
Okay.
I just love saying that. I only got a couple of the radios from there. So it's about as local as we get, I think. Because I don't think they ever made any of these radios here in Fresno. But they did make them down in Burbank. And this is the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. There are 9 tubes, but 24 channels. This one actually is a 24-channel radio. It does not have the, in the space between 1 and 23, it does not say cap. And I don't know when, who, or how it happened, but somebody put in the right crystal, and that gap is actually transmit and receive channel 24. So I don't know how they foresaw the frequency unless it was done more recently. But it is, therefore, it makes it a true 24-channel radio. Back to you.
37, checking in.
And 37, we got you. Don't go away. Yeah. And speaking of, it always brings out the good guys. When you bring in your Super MC11A, I think it sends out an email to former or current Super MC11A operators and owners. I've got a great picture, and I say it's great because not only is it a great picture, but it is a picture of the radio on which you are talking and with which we will be listening to when I stop talking, Super MC11A. And you can see right under, if you're looking at the video, under the channel selector and the name, it says 24 channels, which I agree. Back in the day, you would think, well, there's only 23 channels. There certainly wasn't a channel 24 designated, but as you mentioned, the Civil Air Patrol was the 26.4.6 frequency, where I believe that was the 24th channel, but somehow this radio made it to the 21st century early. Beautiful radio, General Radio Telephone logo between the knob and the meter, and of course it always sounds super great and super good, no matter what microphonium you have. Back to you.
Hi, speaking of which, yeah, this is the, as pictured, because it's just the only microphone that belongs with these radios, I think. The General Charlie Mike-3, the CM3, handheld unamplified plastic microphone, which does a great job. I'm sure you can tell just from my modulation, or formerly from Chris's modulation, you don't need to hook up an amplified D104 to these things. They got plenty of audio punch just the way they are. And yeah, Chris, I was thinking of you. That's why I decided to check this one in tonight. This dedication goes out to you. Back to you, Dennis.
I like that, a little radio dedication. We can do that. It is one of our favorite radios here on the band, just because they sound good. They're made here in California. They hold up well. They're the perfect tube radio for display. It looks like a tube radio. It's got the rack handles. It's not super fancy. They were very affordable when you compared them price-wise to Browning and Tram and some of the other ones. And they came out with a new model almost every 18 months from the early 1960s until this one. In the early 1970s, there was the MC-12, of course, but that wasn't type accepted. And they always sound good. The engineers at General Radio Telephone always tweaking and peeking on the kitchen table, trying to get that extra little watt or half a watt or sound, and they did a great job of keeping up with the other radios as well. There is, I'm going to ask, and I don't think you're doing it, but there's a way to, what we say, strap the radio if you've got some type of plug put in the back. I don't think you're doing that because the audio sounds too good. Typically you get more signal but no audio, but I'm just curious if you have the radio strapped. Over.
I do not. I do not have that plug, and therefore do not have it strapped. Harvey and I talked about that, and evidently, you know, it brings up your carrier a little bit, but it takes away from your swing, you know, your forward modulation, and so we both decided not to bother doing that. This is just the way it came when I got it, and you know, built like a tank. It's a small radio. But it's heavy. You know, this thing is made out of all solid steel construction, and it weighs a ton for a little radio. That's for sure. And built well, and so far, like Chris's, this one has you know, proven to stand the test of time. I haven't had to do anything to it since I got it. It's been, I can't remember how many years ago now. It's probably pretty close to 15 years. Yeah, it is, you know, even longer, and they're just built that well. You know, good balanced circuitry so you don't blow out your tubes, and you know, good solid construction so you know nothing gets knocked out of whack. I can't say enough about them. If not it's certainly one of the most reliable radios I own. Back to you.
Comment?
Back to me. Well, go to the comment. Go ahead, comment. Over.
All right, Cliff. Now, my radio that you're talking about, I no longer have it. It is out there in Sanger, I believe that's where it's at. One of the gentlemen out there has it. And it sounds really good, just as yours does.
And I would certainly agree with that. They're hard. It's hard to make them sound bad. Let's put it that way. And question for you, Clifford, you may or may not be able to answer because I'm sure it's been a long time since you've been kind of inside the radio. Is that a true 23 channel? That means if you went inside and you wanted to change some channels or some crystals, if you went to 22, you'd have a 22 crystal, or is it synthesized, meaning that you have a block of, you know, this one does 4, and then we might have like 12 or 13 crystals. Do you recall?
Well, let's see. First of all, yes, for the details of exactly how many crystals there are, you'll have to go to Harvey or give me a few minutes to go get the manual. But it is crystal synthesis. Because I know that there's one crystal like on the chassis, and then there's the crystals in the turret tuner. And I can't remember exactly how it's all wired up, but I'm pretty sure it is crystal synthesis. So like I say, I don't know how they got the 24th channel in there when they did so. And yeah, Chris, yeah, look, to me, you're always going to be the Super MC11A guy. You're one of the reasons I searched long and hard for one of these things, because I was always impressed with yours. Back to you, Dennis.
They are nice radios.
They are nice radios. And the reason I ask, and we'll have Harvey jump in here, and Boston 97 mentioned synthesis, and I'm thinking, well, that's a point I didn't think of. So maybe someone did some trickery where they find, okay, which band of 4 channels, if you went to the next multiplier, would be inline channel 24, which is actually, let's see, it was like 22, 23, and then 22A and 22B. The gap between 22 and 23 is for 24 and 25. So there may be some synthesis trickery you can do to get to get it to show up that way, but I'm not sure what you would do. So Harvey, if you know, take a transmission.
Yeah, single crystals in the channel selector turret, So 22 or 23. Well, actually, 23 or 24. And the there are two on the chassis. I think one's for receive, one's for transmit, something like that. But you have to match them. You have to match the two on the chassis. Okay, there's two different sets, but you can't mix the sets. One set is this and this, the other set is another this and this, and they have to stay together, and you plug them in the appropriate spots, and they work with the channel selector crystals. And it's kind of odd how they do it, but you could have 23 megahertz channel selector crystals, or I think it's, the other set is 11 megahertz, and then they work, the different channel selector sets work with their own chassis crystals. So depends on what you get. You can't mix and match. It's got to be this complete set and that complete set. The SAM says the 11 has one set, the 11A has another set. But my 11s and 11As all have the same set, except one that I had. I should have kept it, but I sold it. It had the other set. Anyway, that's kind of it.
Okay, sounds like it's best to leave the cover on and know that indeed you have what you have, and not try to figure out why you have what you have. Back to you, Cliff.
Well, now you see why I thought it might be crystal synthesis, because yeah, I knew that the crystals on the chassis worked with the ones in the turret, but I didn't know if it had all of them in the turret. It does. So it's individual one crystal per channel. So that means there must be 24 crystals in that turret. But yeah, I knew that the intermediate frequencies, that's how they work with the ones in the turret. So I thought it might be, because there's other radios that work that way that are crystal synthesis and only have 12 crystals, right? Yeah, sorry about that. I was mixed up. This is 24 individual crystal channels, transmit and receive.
Nice stuff. It reminds me of the Court Jester movie with Danny Kaye. The turret with the tuner has a chassis with the crystal, but they broke the turret with the tuner, and I don't know. It works. It's 24. It has channel 11, which we like. It's an 11A, which we like, and it always sounds good. Our first radio checking in. Sean will be coming up next. The General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Let me click on the picture at oldtuberadio.com and see what it says. 11, 9 tubes. You know, it's blocked out. It's 9 tubes. 2 transistors, meaning there might be some type of 12-volt DC conversion. And they don't come up for sale very often. Lots of 6-volt tubes, 12AX7, the mic preamp, and that ECLL 800. Don't break it. Do not break your ECLL 800. Hard to find in there in the back, and it sounds good. As always, a great picture. We've seen this for years. I think it has inspired others to go out and try and find one of these radios, as you heard from Chris. Just the fact that, as you mentioned with Chris's radio, it makes you want to go get one. Anyway, sounding good tonight on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Over.
Yeah, and then the key up with the brew that is true. I couldn't think of anything to say from that particular Danny Kaye movie. Hello, it seems to be working very well. And is staying right on frequency. I've had it on since about 4:30, and it still seems to be operating just fine. All the wiggle meters are wiggling. Yeah, this doesn't have like a transmit receive light. That little meter does the job. It shows I've got power and that it's audio. It's going forwards right on the radio. So, you got transmit and receive on that meter, and what more do you want, really? Let's see, you have the noise filter tone switch I have out because it makes everybody too narrow sounding. I do have the distance on so I can hear I heard everybody, even with all my noise. I heard, you know, like the guys up in the hills that came back to you. I couldn't believe it. They got just over my noise level. Let's see, we're in radio mode, of course, and then the ANL is out because that also messes with things. That's what I wanted to say. This has one of the smoothest squelch circuits I've ever heard in any radio at any price. I just like it the best. You know, there's no pop in and out. You know, there's no oozing in and out. It's just a really the best squelch circuit I've ever heard. So with that, thanks for letting me check it in, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.
I'm surprised you didn't keep some hot chocolate warmed up on top of that thing since 4:30.
Ah, that's a good idea.
Or just get your heavy-duty aluminum foil and get the chicken and carrots and potatoes fired up. It'll be ready to go. Thanks for the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. I want to take a quick hello to Joey, SWL 103. I see on there we were getting you checked in. Also, hello to United Delta X-Ray 362 from Rockwood, Tennessee. And a good night to Rusty Rills, who will be watching us. Hi, Rusty, who will be watching us right now on the replay sometime tomorrow. The old Tube Radio Network. And I think, Harvey, did you have a comment? Over?
Yeah, I was wrong about the crystals on the chassis. Just one, but I had it almost right. Okay, in the 11A, the local oscillator crystals, which are in the channel selector turret tuner, are 11 megahertz, or megacycles it says, between 11 and 12. And with that, in the 11A, for the transmit oscillator, the crystal has to be a 1.728. That's what it says. Then in the 11, the crystals in the channel selector local oscillator are 23 megahertz crystals, with the one on the chassis transmit oscillator being a 3.456. And you can't mix the 3.456, which is the 11, with the 11A. Things don't work. Anyway, at least that's what I believe. I haven't messed with the crystals in a while in any of mine, but that's what it says. Anyway, so I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thanks. Thanks for that. Thanks for popping in with the question. So it just goes to show it's not as easy as one might think to just open something up and start swapping stuff. You really have to have a Sam's PhotoFax or some experience where you think, okay, if I do this, it'll be good, and if I do this, it won't be good, and just because it's an 11A and not an 11. So you got to keep on your toes. Harvey, thanks for that. All right, now, being very patient out in Sangertown, and I'm sure our conditions are still good. Calling Sean, can you hear net control? Over.
Yes, I can hear you quite well. I could hear Cliff very well, too, which makes it for good listening, because when I can only hear you, one side of the conversation, it gets kind of boring. But, yeah, that was a great in-depth on the Super MC11A. And I was listening along on my Dimco satellite, which is a 5-piece satellite unit with a amplified D104 desk mic. The Dimco has a bandalizer, a meter which has an antenna that you can run around and get your field signal strength. It also has a crystal socket to test crystals. It didn't come with directions. I also have the The speaker, obviously a transmit and a receiver.
We get all the 5 pieces there, and that is... What is the number? Is that the CB1? I guess it's a satellite, I guess. But you've got the Magic Eye tube. That's the one that's got the horizontal style on it, right?
Yeah, that is correct. And the other neat thing I like about it is the antenna, the plate and load. And every time I dust, of course, I mess it all up. And I found out today that I can actually get 5 watts out of it now that I retuned it. So hopefully it's making a fine trip. The Magic Eye is winking and modulating at me here and kind of making its little hum and buzz that it does when it's functioning.
Audio is good. I got the Orban meter up. The noise level is down a bit. I've got the squelch set for that, and then you bring the meter way above any of that on the noise, so it works well. I've got a shot. Let me put the full screen, and this is also from Cliff, and the pieces I see are transmitter, receiver, the satellite, the speaker you have says satellite with the S and the little square on it. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's one of my favorite things. Since my name is Sean, I love all the S's all over it.
And the Demco modulator, the 2 knobs, and I think there's 2 tubes in that, and that could be used with any radio. It is a sort of a compressor amplifier. I don't know if it's a limiter or not, but you plug in your microphone of choice in the front. There's a connector with a proper flavor that goes into your radio, and away you go. So that was cool about the modulator. You could use it with any other radio. And then you said the 5th piece, and I missed what that was.
That is the Demco Bandalizer, and that has crystal sockets for testing the 2 different sizes of crystals. It has an antenna that pulls out of the top of it and goes up quite a ways, and you can go outside and see what kind of strength you have on your signal.
Field strength meter. So does it? We have something in the shot here. It's not designated what it is, but it looks like it might be what you were talking about. It's similar in build to the speaker cabinet, but of course much smaller, and then it has the large meter, a knob underneath that, and then a switch to the right and the left. Over.
No, this is gigantic. It's almost as big as the transmitter, the face of it. And it's quite a rare meter. Harvey's the one that noticed it, and I snatched it up on eBay. I've never seen another one. And the neat thing about it is the antenna that comes out of the top of it.
Okay, I was looking in the Rolodex to see if maybe I had a shot of that, but there's an SPM4, that's probably a speaker, and a DMH1, I'm not sure what that is, and a CH300. So yeah, it is rare enough that maybe you have the only one. Over.
Yeah, I had seen it, and then when Harvey seen it, he got right a hold of me and said that's a must-have item. So I have it right up here on top of the receiver, and it's a nice piece. The Demco is quite the unit with 5 pieces all stacked up like bricks.
And of course, the good old Magic Eye tube. Let me get, for those watching here, if I get the extreme close-up on the transmitter, which has various knobs. You've got the, I guess it's a 6RE13, but and unlike on the Robin, where it's mounted vertically, this is horizontal, and so you are hoping to get both the left and the right side to collapse into the center for supposed 100% modulation. Why they didn't do more of that, I don't know why. Well, they stopped using tubes, adds heat, but it's pretty cool. The meter itself has a lot of functions and lights, so I'm thinking if it was me, I would be sitting with the manual most of the time trying to figure out what to do with this radio.
Yeah, some of these radios, without a guy like Harvey, I don't know if a person would be able to figure it out if they pulled it out of a box. I know that the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV, when I first got it from the old guy that gave it to me, it took me a good half an hour before I realized that you had to align the receiver and transmitter. You know, you just don't think about things like that. But this one, it is quite confusing, and I only leave it on channel 11. It's kind of a booger and, you know, move everything around, and it's not something that you jump around on like my modern, you know, Cobra 2000 radio. I just like it for the OTR and love the magic eye. I think that's the coolest effect. It's a large magic eye, makes a lot of movement, and like I said, you can hear it vibrating away as I talk.
It's a good, the radio's got to thump a little bit. It's got to kind of vibrate and jump up and down the table. That way you know you are, what do we say, 10-2 wall-to-wall. You are getting out, you're 9 pounds, good modulation, chestnut and Herndon, all those things. You really sound great. Of course, Sangertown, Sean is certainly not down the street from where I'm at, so that speaks well of his situation and transmitter antenna. My antenna is actually quite low, but a good, nice plate-modulated Demco satellite radio. It's hard. They're hard to find. They're hard to keep going. And when you get a nice, what do they say, matching number set and collection, and it works well, we are glad that you're able to. And that's why we started this old tube radio long ago. For people that had radios like that, it's like you need to at least get on the air once a week. One, to remember how to use the thing, and two, they just like to be fired up. You know how tubes are. They need to stay warm every now and then. So thanks for bringing it by, and you've gotten a lot of good comments for the digital listeners who are mentioning that looks and sounds good. Because why? Because it does look and sound good. Also want to say hello to, I did see Craig in there from way down in the south part of the state, the MUD, the True Mud Station, tuning in tonight. So thanks for joining us. And Sean, thanks for that radio. A good showstopper and a good pairing with the general radio telephone, which has another great sound, but didn't combine it with 4 other pieces. Over.
Yeah, that's for sure. It was a treat getting to hear the Super MC11A. They are great radios, and the Dimco is right up there with it. And thanks for the time tonight for the Dimco satellite.
All right, we certainly enjoyed that. The singers of jingles are here, and Charlie says they seem to be ready, so I will say, well, go ahead and do what you do best.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio is glowing in the dark here in Central California on channel 11, 27085. Also at oldtuberadio.net, beaconing worldwide on your Universal Media Netweb with even a video link as well. And as they say, do not add pictures to radio. Does it make a big mess? We are standing by listening for Radio 3. Go ahead, sir. Over. Or not. I know that ping.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah! I have to get up and adjust my coax switch.
Oh, all right. Well, go slow. I know you've got the now arm in a sling or something like that, so do not trip. Do not pass go, but get the switch in the proper position. Over.
Yeah, Roger. Okay. I just want, well, you know this one, CR27S23, that I have to finish up. But Ed's radios, still for sale as a Robin T123B, Heath GW22, a Johnson Messenger 223 with a Silver Eagle microphone on it, which looks good, and a Browning R68 T68 with a banana mic. I haven't been able to get them here onto the bench yet because of my surgery, but I will. They were all working when Ed was using them, and I just transported them over to my place. So, anyway, we'll see, but I still have them. So, anybody who wants to know, just try and get a hold of me through Dennis or somebody that can get you my phone number.
Indeed. Yeah, nice to have radios on the air we can hear to check in here locally. And I just want to confirm you are on right now the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68?
No, I'm on an R27S23 because it's the one that changes frequency a little bit on transmit. I've been working on it, but I had to stop. But I'm going to get back to it in a day or two.
Okay. I should know. I can tell the ping. I've been doing this long enough now that when you are on the Beagle, it has such clear audio that the tone, I do not have perfect pitch, but the tone on the ping is just super clear. This one's a little more, what do they say? A little more grungy, but it sounds good.
Alrighty. Okay, I'll let you go. Still got about 20 minutes. I just want to get that in there for Ed. We'll get back on another one after a while.
All right, looks good and sounds good. And there's the ad. Laconia, New Hampshire. That's where Browning Laboratories Incorporated was back in the day. 03246 in New Hampshire. And the station you just heard Harvey was on, here's an advertisement for probably 1964. I don't have a date, or is there a date? It's from KCF 2129, Boyer's two-way radio. That's the old 3 and 4 calls. KCF 2129 base to Unit 1. And transmitter receiver, they give you the specifications. They gave you the tube complements, audio output 4 watts, DC power, plate power input 5 watts, power output 3.5 watts. That was all sort of FCC-oriented standard. And for $359, which was the price probably of a nice black and white color console television of the day, you could pick up the new Browning Eagle. And according to the Laconia, New Hampshire people, the world's finest CB base station. And maybe they weren't too far off, because there are still a lot of them around. A lot of them are sold, built very well, which is a good testament to why they are around. And good stuff. The Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glow in the Dark. We're listening for radio number 4.
Did you ever get me checked in, Dennis?
I put a big, you know what, let's do this again, because that way, if I say yes, and then we go back to the video, and there is no record of check-in-ness, as they say, let me go to the test control point, then I will not feel good about that. So the way we do it, Net Control has all these little things in my possession here, and I would say, oh, who's on? Oh, it says WL37, and there it is, and he's checking in. Oh, well, there it is, and he's checked in, and then like, boom, oh, there it is. All right, official, over.
Yeah, it's official now. All right. I just want to make sure.
All right, good deal. The Old Tube Radio Network. Jingle Singers taking this point to remind you of the friendly favorite place to be on a Saturday evening.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all and
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
All right, why are the Jingle Singers out of phase? If you're looking at the video, there's the positive-negative REA meter phasing thing going on. And in theory, if you're, I guess, is it in phase, you're going to be at 0 or above. So when the announcers are on, like myself, it will stay around 0. I've got some phase rotators and stuff going on. Whenever the singers come on, they throw the meter into the negative. So are they standing in the wrong position? Can we reposition them maybe? Turn the ribbon microphone on. I don't know where that happens. Anyway, we're listening for Radio 4.
14.
14. Hello, radio. Let me clear my page here of the rigs because you have something new for us. And I'm hearing it quite well, so take a transmission. Tell us what you got in Sangertown on the radio real estate table. Just having to stack it up. There's so many radios there these days. Go ahead.
Well, after Cliff brought out the Super MC11A, of course, I had to fire up the Super MC12 by General Radio Telephone, and I'm on a unamplified gray bass D104 microphone, and my Super MC12 has a super modification of a fan on top of it that you don't want to stick your finger in. Pretty good radio, looks really good, and hopefully it's making a trip over there to you.
Making a trip looks very similar to the 11A, and without having them next to each other, I'm going to say maybe the rack handles themselves have maybe a little bit bigger diameter or girth or whatever that word might be. Very similar on the outside. It looks like it also says that it is 24 channels. It has what we call the GRT old man in the wheelchair logo. This picture from SWL 45 Paul, he's got it out in the flora and fauna. So take another transmission. What is the microphone that you have with that? Over.
It is a unamplified gray bass D104 microphone, and conveniently enough, I have these stacked on top of each other tonight. The 12 is on top of the 11A, and I can tell you the exact differences. The rack handles on the Super MC12 are 3/8, and the Super MC11A are 1/8". They're like the size of the fat spaghetti you would get at the store, very skinny. The other significant difference that I noticed about a week ago is the meters look exactly the same, except the Super MC12 has General Radio Telephone in cursive, very fine at the top of the meter. And that's one of the significant differences that I noticed on these radios.
Interesting. These are the things I wish we had somebody that was a manufacturer saying, well, yeah, we had the meters, and then we ran out, and when we reordered them, we got them with the name on them. So were you to have like a late model 11A, you might have one with the name. And if you have an early model 12, you might have one without the name because we never knew what meters we put in. It's that kind of stuff where your particular model might be rare or rarer just because of the meter it has and when those showed up at the factory. Your D104 is a good choice. Unamplified is a very good choice for that radio, and it plays well. Obviously, as you know, you can run the stock mic with that, and it does quite well. Well, I would say don't hesitate if it's working and possible to check in the 11A, if it's a swappable thing as well, if it's not warmed up, but we've got a little time. Back to you for transmission. I'm going to put up the photo that has the S meter and everything, so if you're watching the replay, you can get an idea of how this fares up against the other radios. And then when I come back, I'll talk about a little bit about General Radio Telephone, and this was pretty much the last hurrah for General Radio Telephone in the early 70s. So back to you.
Yeah, I would be curious if Cliff is still listening, if his Super MC11A has the General Radio Telephone script on the meter. That would be something I would be curious about. I know Harvey has a couple of them. I've seen them. But obviously I wasn't privy to this intel to look at the meter that closely. It is something you have to have your glasses on, which I do have on tonight. and I can read it well. It's a nice difference between the two. The other difference is my Super MC12 is a chocolate brown, and the Super MC11A is almost a black case. But the cases are punched exactly the same, holes and all. And I would say that the Super MC11A has more of a goldish finish, and the Super MC12, the face looks more brassy, but that could be the way it was kept. You know, the environment over the years. This Super MC12 I have is extremely clean. There's no rust on any part of it. So, really nice radio. Back to you.
Yeah, well, you've kind of described, because I went back to the Super MC11A picture, the photo that we have from Cliff, and the detail you described is correct. It's a little more golden. The one we have for the 12, it's a Paul's collection. It's outside, so the lighting is different, but it does look lighter. And look at this. I just brought up the Super MC11A that is Cliff's radio, and indeed there it says General Radio Telephone on the meter at the top, clear as day on the extreme close-up. If I go back to the other photo that is we got from Paul, and this is probably 20 years ago, and I go as close as I can, the photo is not as legible, but it's a 12, and it does not have the General Radio Telephone. So something tells me they had either a couple of meter manufacturers or stocks of meters, and it's just maybe what they grabbed. Again, there is obviously a story behind this. So we've got a 12 that doesn't have one. Yours 12 does, and we've got an 11A with a photo that actually does have it. So interesting.
Yeah, and I think these radios are serialized. I'm trying to look back there, but it's too dark. I'm pretty sure they are. So I would be curious. I would love to get some more intel on these. I do like the General Radio Telephone line of radios. It's something that I really fell in love with. And Chris's came with the stock microphone, which I really like that too. But everybody says my D104 sounds pretty good here. So I think I am. I'm going to get the other one warming up. And thanks for the time for the old Super MC12.
The Super MC12, very much like the Super MC11A, General Radio Telephone was sold to Skyhawk Antenna Company in 1972. Anybody ever have a Skyhawk antenna, or what did they make? I'm not real familiar with them. So 1972, they upgraded the MC12 with a much larger and powerful final audio tube. Really? How would you get much more than what they had in the other one? And the MC12 was not able to be type accepted by the FCC, and it was the last General Radio Telephone CB manufactured. So sort of a handoff there, and I'm just wondering what the type acceptance, if it was the 24-channel, you can easily strap the radio and get the, 15-watt DC input or 25-watt DC input. And we're not going to, we did it before, but we're not going to type accept that. Interesting to note. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark, your magical place since about 1986.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
And OTR listening for more radio check-ins. And thinking we might get some of the, I don't know, where is it? What's wrong with Cycle 25? One of the E-skip, tropoducting evenings. We haven't had one in a long, long time. SFI at 199, way up there. Sunspot numbers, 215, way up there. That's why your 10-meter band was so good this afternoon. A at 6, kind of high. K at 3, not so good. Good to have those numbers lower, but still some great conditions all around the bands this afternoon.
Hey, Dennis. Am I floating around?
You know, you came up, and we had some zero-beat theater going on, and you could hear the woo, and so that tells us, that is the coolest sound. It's like when you go in an old car and it has that aroma, it has that smell like an old car. I mean, that's a good smell. When an old tube radio fires up, and especially if it's during skip, when there's a lot of people on there, you know, when there's 900 people on the same frequency, and somebody keys up, you can't even hear their audio, but what you hear is me. You know, somebody's got a tube radio, and that is exactly what happened when you keyed up. Or is that keyed down? Go ahead.
No ping. Turn the volume down. Yeah, I swapped the tube. I found that I had a 6EA8 in place of the 6GH8. I ran out of them. Or I bought some. They arrived 2 days ago, but with my arm, I didn't put one in. So I grabbed one. The numbers the guy puts on them seem good as far as how good the tube is. So I put it in, but it's still
This is a perfect test. It really is.
So that's fine. There are
as the other station keys, you can hear the transmitter moving around. Now, a perfect test. So that radio, it keys high, goes down, it goes right on frequency probably, and then it starts slowly, because we had a little bit of zero-beat radio theater going on. It slowly, it sort of floats around like a, who was it? You know, sting like a bumblebee, float like a something. It floats around like that bumblebee.
Like Muhammad Ali. And there it's going down. I'm watching it. Ooh, a little lower even. Okay. Well, so it's not the tube, probably. And I'll just check it out in the next couple of days. But this is supposed to go to local person, but the local person hasn't been on the radio. And I've had trouble getting hold of him on the phone. So I'm still going to finish it up and do that. There are all those other radios from Ed. This one's not from Ed. I'd like to sell the Ed radios as soon as possible. But, well, as soon as I can get to them, check them all out. But, because I'll replace caps, tubes, and whatever, if they're needed. And, you know, so anybody who wants to know about them, just give me a call. Okay. Ooh, keeps going down. Look at that. Okay. I think I know what it is. So I'll check it out tomorrow or next day.
Yeah, it does keep going down because as we have the zero-beat theater is still going on, and you can hear each time there is the zero-beat, it's going, it's floating. I don't know if that's up or down, and I don't know what tone that is, like 400 cycles, 300 cycles, whatever it is. Is slowly floating around like a balloon. Think of that, like that little helium balloon as Harvey floats around the Central Valley and maybe comes into your radio. There he is, and he's on this frequency and on that frequency. It's still within 700 cycles, so not a problem with that. While I am keyed up, I'm going to say thanks, Art. Thanks for the good words. Do you believe we have been Harvey? Can you contest that we have been doing this on the air since the mid-1980s? Would you raise your right hand and say, yes, we have checked in for 40 years?
Oh, yeah. I would say, let's see, I got here in 79, and I don't think the club was going then. But in the mid-'80s, I think it started up, and yeah, I would say that easily.
Yeah, now remember, we're not a club, but a voluntary association of people interested in the old tube radios. I think that's what we used to read at the beginning. Everybody says, oh, you have dues, special handshake, you have funny hats you wear. No, none of that. Just people, for no particular reason except it's Saturday evening, there's a radio on the table, and, I don't know, Jackie Gleason and Red Skelton are off. It's 9 o'clock. Ed Sullivan, the Beatles are over. Let's get on our tube radios. That's what we do. So anyway, I want to just let Art know that that's why we have so much fun. We kind of recreate. How did you look when you got on the radio back in 1965? So that's what's going on here. Also, since I've got the item here, SWL Randy, your little clock, your Alexa, when it says, don't forget, here's a reminder, check into the Old Tube Radio Network. It went off. But off a little late, but we're still here. So I'm going to put on the 99 and get you checked in. Radio Randy over on 75 meters with the biggest station this side of Cape Creek, the big antenna. And the great, where is it? The great audio. Running what are you running, Randy, an Omnia? I added another Wheatstone up here in the rack. So it's a rabbit hole, I tell you. The Old Tube Radio Network, I'm talking too much. I'm standing by. We're not going to count them out yet because I think Sean's going to try and get another radio for us if we don't get a few more before we sign off. Jim wants the funny hat. I was looking. We actually, way back in the late 80s, we made some hats. And I have one here. There was only about 10 of them made because they cost a lot of money. That says OTR. A baseball cap, and when we had the picnic with the old radio toss. OTR standing by. 14. All right, 14. You are good to go. Let me make sure that I've got the proper stuff, and we'll send it out to you. Take a transmission over.
Okay, well, it's on the DAC 10. Unfortunately, my Super MC11A is receiving you on channel 10, yet transmitting on 11. So I didn't feel like switching the knob back and forth, but something's going on there. I'll investigate it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm on the DAC Mark 10 sideband radio telephone. So it is a radio telephone, but just not a general. This one has a whopping 2 tubes and a pretty powerful final setup. It really swings the old meter over there. I'm on a amplified static hand mic, and decent radio, lots of knobs, switches, and meters, and a large size, and it has the same size rack handles as the Super MC12.
There must have been a sale on those, or since these radios were produced a couple years after, 77, it's a 40 channel, so it's going to be late 76, of course. Maybe the Skyhawk Antenna Company said, what in the heck are we going to do with these rack handles? And the M.H. Scott Company. Oh, where is Greg? Is that the Scott Stereo Company? But that is who manufactured this. M.H. Scott manufactured the DAC, the Mark 9, the IX, right? And then the 10, Mark X, there it is, and courtesy of Steve. Thank you, Steve Berman. And this just blew everybody away. There's a tube in there somewhere. It's a hybrid. So this radio is much maligned. There's people that say it is a small little mobile radio stuck in a box with a tube. And there's some people that know that say, well, let's not go that far. Let's actually look at things. And this is fairly well designed and has some good features. It certainly is impressive. Let me get the close-up. It certainly is impressive from the outside with the meters. And why? And remember, we're late 70s. We're now into Sherwood, Kenwood, all these stereos that are coming out with the quad channels and lots of knobs and meters and dials. And it's okay to have this electronic stuff in your living room now. So they said, yeah, let's make something that'll fit right in. So I like the looks of it, regardless of what people might say. Take a transmission.
Yeah, it's a good-looking radio, and this one, it has a Yaesu fan on the back of it, which is real quiet and probably keeps things a little bit cooler in there. But yeah, it looks like it's like a modular design, a bunch of boards in there, and then the two tubes in the final section there to get it in the show tonight. So yeah, I don't want to be long-winded. I know we're getting late. Maybe Joe or somebody else is out there, and so I'll send it back to you.
All right, cool radio, 40 channels. It does have, you say this is the sideband, right? The Mark 9 does not have sideband, but this does. Am I understanding that correctly? Over.
Yeah, that is correct. I have the Mark 9. It's in my radio room, and it gives me problems. There's a cold solder joint. It only likes to operate when I stand it on its side. It functions perfectly. The second I put the case back on it and turn it flat, it doesn't like to work. So the 10 is a good, reliable radio, and hopefully making a good trip over there to you tonight.
Okay, a couple of more questions, because I'm just a nerd. Your lights, your meters, they're illuminated, and are all the lights working on them?
That is correct. They are illuminated. All the lights are working except for the modulation meter. It's swinging away like crazy, but the light is not working on that.
Okay, another nerdy question. Just because I like meters. That's what you stare at. You just stare at the meters when the thing's happening. When you key up, or is it key down? I never know. When you're transmitting, there's a signal strength meter. My guess is, unless it's switchable, that goes to 0, and then you would see modulation wiggle meter, RF output wiggle meter, and what's the other one? SWR, were you to have it in a forward reflected kind of mode. So what happens to the signal strength meter when you key up?
Yeah, the signal strength meter drops dead. I get you with a S6 on this radio, and the heck is that one? Oh, it's a plate current. The plate current needle, it's wiggling away with the modulation meter. And the SWR, it is just, my SWR is almost dead flat, so it's just barely coming above the 1 meter as I talk. So I've got 3 meters wiggling away when I am transmitting, and I've got 1 functioning when I am receiving you.
Got it, because a lot of them have a relay switch, and the RF is the S meter, but they put 4 in there. That was pretty cool, just enough meters. And, one other question. Under the meter, I've got the big, the close-up going on here. There's a switch that says fast, slow, and off. And in my experience, that would be an AGC setting. Fast and slow. Fast you would use for AM, slow you use for sideband, and off, typically you turn an AGC off, you're going to get like no gain control. You're going to have very loud audio coming through unless you run over to your RF gain. Have you ever tried flipping that switch to see when you go to off if it changes how things sound, that they get very loud over?
Fucker. As you mentioned that, I was sitting there flipping it back and forth, and it really didn't seem to make that much of a difference. So maybe it might if it was, in receive and it picked your signal up. Then it might make a difference if I had it in a different position, but not as you were transmitting. It was making no difference.
All right, and that could be a different time of thing. It couldn't be an AGC. I can't really see what it is. I see you have an RF gain control, which is pretty cool as well. All right, radio, did I write it down? I'm talking about it here. Yes, radio number 5 tonight, the DAC Mark 10. Advertised, anybody remember the Sharper image catalog? Which was all this cool stuff for your home and fancy cabinets and tables and bric-a-brac. And this radio, the Mark 9, this radio was in that catalog for a while, back in the late 70s, I think. So I always think, look at they got a CB radio in the Sharper image catalog, and this was it. So maybe M.H. Scott Company figured out how to... I bet they sold a few of this through that, DAK. But it's not DAK Company, it's M.H. Scott. Thanks for bringing it by. A lot of history in this radio. Like I said, it gets maligned a lot, but there are some big fans of the DAC. So thanks for bringing it by.
Yeah, thank you for the time for the DAC Mark 10.
And the jingle singers are out and about and have this. Who is it? Pat Paulson. They have this to say about that.
You're tuned to
OTR.
your dial reads
Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
We'll be counting and amounting and standing by the Old Tube Radio Network. Hey, the Radio Lounge, if you can sneak in there, let me jump over to net control here, say hello, radio. And, yeah, there's plenty of room on the list. If you can copy me, take a transmission over.
Definitely copy you, and everyone sounds great. Greetings from the Radio Lounge. This is, of course, SWL 47. Saying hello for the first time tonight, and using just a delightful radio. I cannot tell you how pleasurable it is to use this, the Robin T123.
Robin T123. I have a photo of that. Let's bring it in right there. You can see it's green surround case. This is the pre-Panasonic 2 chassis, the pre-1972 Robin. I heard a lot of these. Great audio and a nice comparison because it has the 6RE13 Magic Eye tube in a vertical configuration, where the Demco we talked to earlier has it in a horizontal configuration. So were you to be looking at a video, if you're listening, there is a tube inside this radio, and it is I guess with the voltage, it shows your modulation percentage as the two lighted areas from the top of the tube and the bottom of the tube come together in the center. There are various forms of these Magic Eyes to do signal strength and tuning. And so you're actually looking at the tube. They cut a little rectangle out of the bezel and stick the tube right in the front of there. I guess that's how they do it. It might even have an overlay to make it like blue or something, but there it is. You're looking right at the tube. How cool can you get? Over.
Well, number one, it's really cool. Number two is definitely the main feature that made me want to get this radio for the first tube radio in my collection. And can I just clarify, you said that there's not a radio that uses the exact same tube, which of course is going to function the exact same way, but it was mounted vertically, is that correct?
Yes.
Horizontally?
Yeah, the Demco satellite that Sean checked in earlier, there's a separate transmitter receiver. On the transmitter, they have a similar situation for your modulation on the transmitter side, but they just flop that 90 degrees. I mean, the radio, it's just a separate transmitter. So they've got a little more real estate. Does the same thing, shows your modulation. So then they must have the tube. I've never been inside of one, so they must have it mounted, a little horizontal tube socket there, but cool stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting and thought-provoking, because I don't know if I would have designed a radio like that. Not like I would be qualified to do that, but it just seems like after a while, if you're setting a radio down or picking it up, the horizontally mounted tube would eventually kind of work its way to sag down and maybe fall out of the socket like that. This one is vertical, and I'm kind of afraid to stick my finger in a little window in the faceplate. I know you said that there might be a likelihood of some sort of an insert in there between the actual window and the tube itself. I seem to recall, and it's been forever since I've had the top off this radio, but I seem to recall that there was some sort of a plastic film in there, or something that would change the color of the tube if you're looking at it from outside, but I don't know. I'm bears because it's only, four screws to discover the answer to that question. Maybe at some point Deb will do that, but nonetheless, if there's an inlay or not, it's just, oh my God, just how cool is that to have that feature on there. Again, I think I said this a long time ago that I think I read somewhere that I guess being used these mesh tubes because it was a cheaper way of instrumentation versus a needle meter, which I guess at the time may have cost more money. Someone ought to fact check me on that, but I think I remember reading that. Whatever the cause, I'm glad they did it because Magic Eye tubes just rock, in my opinion.
A holdover from earlier times, I think, that had the other style Magic Eye tubes. I'll call it like the Pac-Man style, where the old Zenith radios where they were used for the receive signal strength. So when you, I guess you actually tuned in to the maximum on frequency signal of the radio, the two parts of the Magic Eye would come together and with the, whatever it is showing the volt and say, yes, that is the strength you want. And you could kind of see if it was fading out. Used to have it for volume level. I had a reel-to-reel tape recorder that had it. That was actually your VU meter for set your volume level, just like you're basically doing on that. Someone asking what's the red cord. I think that's on the picture we're showing, and this is not. This is indicative of the radio that Michael is speaking on, but it is not Mike's radio. So that somebody made a mic cord that has a red, the red jacket on the mic cable. I don't know, and I believe there is some type of a plastic coloring on that tube because they may just be white, or clear, tube like it's not that blue color. So I think there is some type of a plastic overlay on that. Anyway, sounds good. Got you in for radio. Also got you checked in, and you are radio number 6. I keep feeling like I forgot to write somebody down here. Like we've had 7 radios. I'll go back. I always have to the management always makes me go back and review what I did. It's like, you blew it. No, so it's radio 6. Over to you.
No, you didn't blow it. You never blow it. But, thanks for letting me check it in. I certainly appreciate it. I don't know why I derive so much pleasure from using and listening on these things. I really don't. But I'm certainly glad I am. Certainly glad that you're there doing your gig, and certainly glad that there are other folks using these things too, because they're just spectacular. And that's my opinion. So, thank you, and on that, I'll bid you a good evening. 73 from the Radio Lounge.
All right, 73 to you. Probably time to button things up here, do some counting and mounting, and as they say, return the frequency to normal. The old tube radio network doing what we do best, and that's getting people on the air, getting their radios checked out, and kind of recreate the time and the fun that a lot of us had years and years ago when there was only 6 people on? 12, I don't know. There might have been more than 12 people, but that's the way it was.
One more.
This is the one more frequency. Go ahead, sir. Over.
Would you please do the beagle?
R68 for what? Receive unit? S68? T68, R68. I'm blowing it here. I've only done this 1,000 times. R68 for the receive unit and T68 for the transmitter. Is that how that works?
When it's working, that's how it works.
And it works well. And yes, this has that distinctive ping. It is just super crystal clear and just like the audio that comes through the microphonium and into my speaker.
Yeah, that's what happens when you put the mic in a certain spot, key it, and don't move it.
It's just the fade out, but it still sounds good. Over.
And that's what happens when you move it.
Now, you did not go through any pain to give us a little show there, did you?
You heard that last bit? That was me going, oh.
All right, well, that's it. You only get one. You only get one ping because I don't want your insurance company calling us.
Now, remember, one ping only.
The OTR has turned into a one ping show. What is this world coming to?
Now, from the movie, he looks at him and says, one ping only.
Okay, oops, let's see, where are we going here? I will go to that. We'll have the jingles changed. Let us get totaled out of here, and we'll let Zero Beat Theater continue. But the Old Tube Radio Network, having a good time tonight. Thanks to everybody for checking in, and we hope you've got something like this going where you are, and if not, you should probably start one.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final totals for the Old Tube Radio Network, Channel 11, 27085, streaming live at oldtuberadio.net, and there's a link there to do some video thing that we do. I don't know. Don't like I said, don't add pictures to radio. Check-ins tonight. Did I mention you don't have to have any numbers? Don't have to ever been here before to stop by and say hi or turn on a radio or ask us a question or do whatever it is that you might be wanting to do. Let's see, 22 on page 1, 22 on page 2, 17 on page 3, and 24 on page 4 for a total of, I think that's 85. If I did the math correctly, which I haven't, they're telling me, sit up. All right, I'm falling out of the frame. How do I do it? It's like here. Things got moved around tonight. The microphone is way over here, and I'm trying to cover up all that junk in the background. We haven't addressed the set. We should have, like we used to. Remember we had the days we had all the tube radios back there, and I had to reconfigure, and then we had the fire. All right, radios tonight. We had 7. The most heard manufacturer was a tie. Let's see, we had a Browning. And 2 general radio telephones. So we almost had 3. We almost had a general radio telephone evening. Started off the evening with Cliff's General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Talked about beautiful downtown Burbank back when general radio telephone, I mean, the guys were literally, we have proof of this, would be on a kitchen table on the phone and say, hey, what do you think? Can we do this? Can we do that? You know, checking the radios and bringing out the newer models, just like automobiles. You go back in the 60s and it's like, golly, GM and Ford and Chrysler had all these models of all these cars. And just the same way with the radios, doing the same thing. Well, we got a Caravelle, and we got a Model T, and we got that. So radios did the same thing, and slowly away they went. But here on the Old Tube Radio Network, we make sure that they stick around. Uh-oh, I have to go on the floor and pick up my paper. All right, without knocking anything off. Radio number 2, the Demco satellite. I think it's a CB1 or CB1A. There is a satellite, the super satellite, the 101. This is the one you kind of want to try and get if you can find one. And you could probably find one, but you want to get one that's working. And the one we checked in tonight was working really well. Check the replay. Demco satellite, 5 pieces, transmitter, receiver, speaker. See, that's when Browning put the speaker in the radio. The Demco took it out. Buddy Bass did that too. They took the speaker out. I don't know if that was just because we want to have an extra piece, or is like, well, who went out and put his speaker in that hot cabinet? It's not good for it. Anyway, and then the Demco modulator, and then he had that other little test, I'll call it like a field strength test piece. Radio number 3 for 2 for that. Then the Browning Golden Eagle R27S23. Thank you, Harvey, for that. The General Radio Telephone Super MC12. Last of General Radio Telephone Skyhawk Communications, not type accepted. That's when the FCC started getting really like, we don't want you to put noisemakers, we want you to put limiters and clippers. We just don't want you to have fun anymore. See what you've done? You've made us put on 40 channels, and now we're going to get you. What was next? The DAC Mark 10 from Sean. Mike came by with the Robin T123 for you fans of Magic Eye Tubes, and of course the R68 T68 Browning Beagle. I will get out of here. It is late. It is tomorrow where most of you are, and who knows, if you're watching the replay, it could be next year. My name is Dennis, one of the many net controllers who sit in the air chair of the old Tube Radio Network since the mid-1980s on a Saturday night. Let's get on the radio and do what we used to do and talk about the radios and maybe find out how to fix things and learn something cool stuff. Good night, everybody, from Fresno, Central Valley of California. Hopefully you get on the air wherever you are. If you are studying your amateur radio stuff to get licensed, it's still good. Sunspot numbers, SFI at 200. You will have a good time when you're on channel 11 during the day, and there's literally, it's not that there's no one to talk to. There's 10,000 people to talk to, but they're all talking at once. Switch over to one of those other licensed frequencies and get on and talk to somebody, and then come back at night like we do and have a good time. Good night, and we'll catch you next week.
The truck driver, on the near the truck driver, you black, the black, the black. The black, 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 the near her.
Good show, Dennis.
All right. All I had to do was just sit here and wait for the radios, and then there was the program.
Yeah, but each week it's a little different.
A little different, and that's a good thing. All right, you sound good, but I know you're tired, so go get a little bit of rest. I'm going to make. You can tell I'm an old guy. I'm going to go get some hot chocolate and a piece of toast. That just sounds really good right now.
I'm going to get some fudge ice cream. It matches my radios.
Oh, yeah, I might have some ice cream. Maybe it'll be a hot chocolate and ice cream. Are your radios, you put whipped cream on them?
I try not to. But sometimes that stuff comes out of the caps.
Yeah, and Hunt's wondering, where was Moocher this day? You know what? Mooch came in, the cat came in before I was on, and we got some, lap time. And then right as I was getting ready to start the net, I took Mooch out for some treat. The treat dish was active. And I see, because I look way over here, I see they closed the door, and it's just not cracked enough. I don't know if Mooch is, she's not one of those big cats that's like, I'm coming in, her. So she's probably asleep in the chair, so I have to go out and refill the treat dish and, reconnect with Kitty. So maybe next week. I guess it was my fault that somehow the door got closed. I didn't do it on purpose. All right, catch you later.
You see me in the fucking...
Catch you later. See you next week.
All right, good night from the old Tube Radio Network.
Good night, everybody.
All right, and we'll return the frequency back to Zero Beat Theater. Good night.
Good night, all the...
Ay. See you later.